Hello, everyone. Welcome to this week's episode of the 365 Message Center Show. We have a good list of topics to discuss. And three of those are Microsoft Teams easier hyperlinking of text. Darrell knew all about this shortcut thing from previous or other products, but we're getting it in Teams, so wonderful. We're also going to talk about how Microsoft Places is going to allow you to check in, and whether or not we think that's a great thing or not. We'll talk about that. And then Outlook, the new Outlook, is going to basically be forced upon small and medium-sized businesses. That's the way I'm interpreting it. All of that and more on this week's episode. Let's roll the intro.
We have been copy struck.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to episode 357. We are making steadily, week by week, making our way, pushing toward 365 episode. Which
I'm pushing forward to 1,000, Daniel, but that's just me being hopeful. We really will be old by then.
I will say, if more people donate, it'll be it'll help along that idea. We'd also like some ideas from you, so hit us up on socials at 365 MCS on all the socials that matter, as well as the comment section. What would you like to see specially on episode 365? We'd like some ideas on how we can make that special, the episode special. So we'd love to hear your ideas as well.
Hey. Speaking of specials,
okay.
Our special did quite well last week on the chat and channels combo. Good feedback on that. Thank you for all who passed your comments and engaged on the conversation. I think, I enjoyed having those deeper conversations about features and stuff. So, if you would like to see more of that kind of content too, let us know what you'd like us to talk a little more about or what you would like to engage in as well. And we will consider. We'll consider your requests.
And also, we are not covering several messages that we actually had some in-depth conversation about already on our live sorting show. So make sure you subscribe to our YouTube channel. If you're listening on the audio podcast, this is your kick in the pants. No, I'm not going to kick you in the pants. This is your poke in the side. No.
Your elbow in the gut.
This is your invitation to subscribe to our YouTube channel, but also in that bell, say, all notifications so that when we go live, you'll hear and you'll see when we do that so that you can have impact on what we cover on the show. However, we talked about several messages, went in depth, and then decided not to cover it, but check out that if you'd like to hear more messages as well. To help you and your organization prepare for change. Speaking of preparing for change, Darrell, I want you to tell me and everybody else this cool feature of how to hyperlink things, please.
So, this is less about preparing for change, but prepare yourself for an amazing, revolutionary tip in productivity. Microsoft Teams easily insert hyperlinks in messages. You're like, what? Okay. MC 926877. How do you hyperlink text? Well, there's a few ways that Daniel and I discussed. We could copy the link, of course, what we want to hyperlink. We wander over to our text, we select it, we right-click, we say hyperlink this please, we get a dialog box, we drop things in. 5, 6, 7 steps later, we're done. And we have depending on what you're hyperlinking and where, something that clearly shows there's a link behind that word. I also introduced Daniel to a shortcut key that's common across most of Microsoft products and in some other places too. It's kind of a standard, Control K or Command K on the Mac, and that will bring up a dialog box to add a hyperlink. But this is introducing a much easier tip. Copy link, select the text you want to hyperlink, paste it. Boom, done. It hyperlinks that text you've selected. I first saw this, Daniel, in Microsoft Loop, and it's now coming to Teams, which, to be frank, is probably more frequently used than Loop. So maybe it will get some nice exposure.
For now. I think it is... only thing I'll mention, this is a quick one, but the only thing I'll mention here is the GIF, and there is a GIF, and we like GIFs in the messages, right? Showing you actually how to do it. It's, I don't know, it doesn't, it's a little hard to follow, maybe, with what's actually going on in this case. We don't want to discourage GIFs. We just think that maybe it's just a little harder to follow what's going on and how it's working. But I think it's kind of cool. So
yeah,
when
I think this
it?
GIF was potentially produced by J.J. Abrams, and that there wasn't a lot of thought put into how this was going to look on screen.
That's
versus a beautiful Lord of the Rings style Peter Jackson well thought out multi-movie. And forget about it.
Man, we're trying to offend everybody today. Wow.
I'm calling you out. Okay. Targeted release will begin rolling out this wonderful little tip in early December, complete by early December, because there's not really much to roll out. General availability worldwide will begin rolling out mid-December and expected to be complete mid-December. So by end of December, we'll all be able to do this. Get awesome. To it. I want Daniel to hear about. I don't know. I can't find a place for these words actually. How about you tell me what's going to auto release?
Okay, Microsoft 365 app auto release and check-in for Microsoft Places. This is MC925 999. I like. That's fun. So coming soon, what this is being able to allow ways for users to check into meeting rooms. And so when this is in-person meeting rooms where you've scheduled a room, and to prevent from a room from being released. So, the room knowing you are there without, yes, you can go and say check in on the device, but a meeting organizer will be able to check in chat and be able to say, hey, I can, or an attendee, hey, I'm checking in to this room, but in the Teams chat itself, instead of having to, click on the device that's on the door, the panel, be able to say I'm here. You can do that in chat, just making it a little bit easier. To make sure it doesn't release and other people can schedule and show up and be like, I got this room. And you're like, no, you don't. I think and one thing I do want to call out, Darrell, on this one big time, is this message has lots of screenshots, thumbs up. We covered so many messages in the sorting show that had 0 messages, and zero meat as well, but move on. But love the description here, love the images and the highlights saying, here's what we're talking about. Love that. Thank you so much for doing that, team. Really, really appreciate that. So this is, I don't know, anything else I should say about this, Darrell, you think? But I mean,
no, I think it's a really good use of the adaptive card in the chat to give you another method. There are 2 other methods for checking in. There is tap the panel, but it's also enough to be able to be in the room and actually using the equipment. So Teams rooms are being quite well designed around that. We don't cover a lot of Teams room stuff, but we thought that this one was quite clever in the way that it works.
Absolutely. So this is going to be available worldwide and GCC mid-November and completed by late November. So again, I think it's a pretty good update here. The way it'll affect you is it's going to be there in chat to be able to check in. So we wanted to cover it because it is affecting users and they will see it. Darrell, I would like for you to tell me about things being forced upon us. Unlike erstwhile message, I want you to really tell us things that are being forced upon us, small and medium-sized businesses.
Yeah. Well, okay. This is one of the shortest titles I've seen for a long time, and it's a message that I see because I have a business standard license in, a Microsoft 365 business standard. The message: toggle to new Outlook. 1, 2, 3, 4 words. MC 926895. This is, I guess it's testing the waters, but it's significant, and we're mentioning it because maybe you have some clients, maybe you are a customer who uses Business Standard, Business Premium, that on the 6th of January next year, the default, you'll be switched over, toggled to using the new Outlook, which is, as we know, much like Outlook Web Access. And if you are keen on keeping with Classic, do you like my alliteration there, even though it's not K's and C's? Yeah. If you're keen on keeping with Classic, then there are some actions you need to take, or maybe your IT pro needs to take for you, to keep you there and prevent the switch from taking effect on January 6th. It was asked, and we do think that later on there might be a similar action for enterprise, where we're just testing the waters. How does small business, medium business using these licenses feel about being toggled over to using new Outlook instead of Classic?
That's not far stretch, though.
No.
I mean, to think they're forcing this, unless you take action, you can toggle back, blah, 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 but they're forcing on small and medium-sized businesses. We say it that way because it is just these licenses. But it's not a stretch to imagine, okay, they're doing it now to this, and then later on they're going to do it because they want you to use new Outlook. They're going to eventually stop supporting Classic. I mean, that's not under NDA. I mean, that's just look at what's going on. That's the way it's going to work. Yeah.
Yeah. And there's a lot of effort going into building similar features to bring it to parity. Unlike other products, they're not claiming parity early. Because clearly it's not. But that is just something we wanted to make you aware of. This is meant to be a quick mention, so I'll finish it off there. But there are some steps in this message about policies that you can change, register keys to change, to make sure that you will keep with Classic. In fact, it is actually just all about policies and register keys. So kind of really low level, old school styled. Don't change it yet. Actually saw another tip, similar kind of tip, where someone did this to roll back to a certain version of Classic without Copilot, to remove Copilot from out. Yeah, it was kind of odd. Okay, so that is starting January 6th. So take action beforehand. That was a good message, keeping people up to date. Daniel, let's stick with Outlook. Let's stick with new Outlook. Tell me what you can do there.
Okay, new Microsoft Outlook for Windows and Web. There's the product. Pin the favorites section. MC926191. If you want some laughs, go and watch the live show, the sorting show, because we had a little bit of an issue with this one, trying to figure out what in the world this was. So what this is, what confused us is pin the favorite section. Well, if you look at the screenshots, it's not very clear as to what in the world is happening. And you can already pin a folder to the favorite section. So we were really confused as to what do you mean by what's going on here? Well, it's not really, if you realize, number one, you should read the message. But number two is that you're not really pinning folders to favorites, you're adding them to favorites. So it's, the language there is a little different. But if you actually read the message, it says, after this rollout, users can choose to keep the favorites section pinned to the top of the list and only the rest of the folders will scroll. So that means, and Darrell nailed it on the head in the sorting show, this is kind of like, locking the first row in a spreadsheet, right? Where you scroll
freezing.
and that freezing. Yeah. So that when you scroll that column and or the row stays there, right? Or rows and columns, because you can do it actually multiples. Same thing. It's freezing the favorite section up there so that your favorites always show, which makes sense, right? You're scrolling. You've got all these folders. We can talk about whether or not you should have that many folders or not some other time. But you've got all these folders so that when you scroll, it moves the favorites away, and you're like, wait, they're my favorites for a reason. I always go to them. I always want them to be there. Well, now you will be able to. Now that I understand, we both were scratching our head like, what is this? But now that we understand it, I think it's a very useful feature, and I think most people will do it. I mean, if you actually use favorites at all as a method to always put those folders up there, then you're probably going to want to do this by default, I think. It just makes sense to me, to be honest.
Yeah.
The targeted release rolling out mid-November, expected to be completed by mid-December, so they're taking a while. But you got to think about why, because they've got to push the updates to Outlook for Windows, right? Those don't happen immediately. General availability worldwide, mid-December through mid-January of 2025. Another one of those 2025s. And then availability for GCC, GCCI, and DoD, mid-January through mid-February of 2025. Darrell, I really, really don't want to leave Outlook. So could you please stay with Outlook and give us another message?
I can. It's like erstwhile we were just talking about Outlook. New Outlook, new Microsoft Outlook for Windows, People Hub improvements, MC 927963. Again, we're talking about new Outlook. Like I said, erstwhile, it feels like we've been doing this the whole show. But
okay.
This is an update for, simply put, consolidating duplicate contacts. Right, that's the main thing I get from this, Daniel. If you've got contacts with the same name, even some of the same details, and this happens sometimes where you've brought it across from other different platforms, synchronized things in. Maybe you've got an old mobile number and a new mobile number, but you haven't made all those changes on the same contact, but you have a duplicate. It's bringing this together. And where there are exact duplicates, you're now going to see a couple of new things on the contact card for that contact. You can manage sources, and you can also unlink sources. And this could be also used as a way of tidying up. If you come across a contact card where it's got multiple sources, perhaps you could just take a few minutes and bring it all together on one contact. Or you will use the feature the way that it's designed and go, it's all right, it's sorted. they're just linked. But that is the goal of this. It certainly, is a large message for that explanation of a feature. People hub improvements. It is an improvement.
Well, it's also going to prioritize, your organization, AD or intra information about that user. But still, I think you're right. The biggest thing here is unlinking. Being able to say, no, don't. And I think iOS maybe have rolled that out a while back, and especially like contacts on your phone, like, no, that's not the same. But I think this is, like you mentioned, mobile. It's a huge problem, and I don't know about you, but I've had so many customers have issues with that, where their Outlook on mobile is syncing now, and it creates, if there's any issues, it can kind of create a bunch of contacts all over the place, and so I really like this being able to clean that up a little bit. So
yep. It's useful feature. Targeted release will begin rolling out mid-January, complete by end of January. General availability worldwide late February 2025, expected to be complete mid-March. Daniel, for this next message, I can't think of anything clever in the segue, but I'll just say, okay, number one, Engage.
Microsoft Viva Engage. Unregistered users in an external network will not receive community emails. Well, yeah. Anyway, MC 928016. So first read this and I went, not receive emails. Yeah, nobody should receive emails if they're not registered. However, before this update, that's exactly what happens. Is when you invite an external user into an external, network, in Engage, they get an email saying, hey, you're invited to do this. If they don't complete that registration, they will still get emails with updates.
Really?
So what this message is saying, hey, we're going to fix that.
Why?
And pending and inactive users will no longer get community conversations sent to them via email unless they go through and accept the invitation and complete that process of registering with the network. Again, I didn't know because I'm not a member of any external networks that I haven't accepted, right? So I don't, I've never experienced this, but maybe some of you have. Let us know in the comments. Would love to hear your thoughts and opinions on this and every message that we cover here on the episode. Love to hear, what you think and how this is going to impact you. And, what messages this week were a big impact on you? Throw it in the comments or hit us up on socials at 365MCS on all the socials that matter. This one I just didn't know about. Darrell, have you run into this at all? Have you had any, did you know that this was a thing?
No, I don't create many external networks or join many. I've probably been a member of the same external networks I've always been a member of since it was Yammer. It's really, if I go back to that. But yeah, I find it surprising, and maybe even it's a mechanism that was unintentional, that, hey, you're not part of this network yet, but here's what you're missing out on. So they would send the messages through anyway via email notifications.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It doesn't seem right. It doesn't seem... So I think one thing to point out as we talk about, so this change is going to be rolled out early December, completed by early January of 2025. Extensions will not be provided for this configuration change. So don't ask us, basically Microsoft saying, don't ask us to extend this. We're not. This is the rollout time. Forget it. Don't even ask. And which I agree with. This shouldn't be something that should get extended. I don't know. Maybe my brain can't grasp the a valid reason why you would require to extend it. You shouldn't. It shouldn't be extended. It's my opinion, and I'm going to stick with it.
It's not even a current opinion. It was an erstwhile opinion.
Indeed. Darrell, let's finish off on an agent message. It's agent. If I say it with a certain accent, it sounds like urgent. It's an urgent budget.
Yeah, and it might also help you understand why we've been saying the word for today is erstwhile. All installed agents, including erstwhile Microsoft 365 Copilot plugins, can now be accessed via one location in Copilot. MC926202. Before we get into the message, let's just talk about erstwhile. I thought someone had leaned on the keyboard and accidentally left it in the title of the message. However, if you take a close look at the message, it's also in the call out of one of the pictures there of what's going on. So erstwhile means formerly. Right, so if you read that through, and we both had to look it up, that formerly we would have called these Microsoft 365 Copilot plugins. Now they're agents. Thanks for that educational moment from Yale or Harvard or somewhere that uses big words. What is the message? The message is the cheese is moving again. Where we erstwhile would have been trying to configure and play around with what erstwhile was called plugins. Now they're called agents, and it's all been moved up to the top of the screen under the 3 dots. This is where you, Daniel, you feel like it's going to be hidden up there, isn't it? Like how would we know unless someone kind of guides us through there to find out where?
How would we know unless someone tells us? Yeah. That's a quote from something. I think that's the biggest thing for that. Yes, it is. Those plugins and the agents are going to be up there.
Plugins. They're agents.
Their agents are going to be up there in the top right, and so you can chat with them. You can go click on them, whatever. Chat with them. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. I'm just not going to. I think it's the bigger thing is that if you are in the work tab, you're engaging with Copilot in the work method, you could enable, web and other plugins, erstwhile plugins, those, but we all got used to the little icon down in the bottom right where those were. Well, that's moving, and not just moving, that icon's going away for now. I'm sure they're going to use that for something else. That's the way things happen, and because we want to confuse people. Now we have to go to the top right of the window, the chat window, click on the 3 dots, the ellipsis, whatever you want to call it, 3 dots, and then it's going to be on that menu. So this is changing, and for your Copilot users, please, please, please tell them, because this is definitely something that is going to affect them. I think, because I can think of how I use the work and in how I want to get stuff from work and include web to get a better experience in Copilot, a better response from my prompts. So it's a deal. It's a big deal, I think, for how they're changing this. I will also say, Darrell, there is something else that's different in this screenshot that is it's just slightly different. But I wanted to
I think I noticed it just now. I noticed it. You tell me.
Is they've swapped the work and web toggle at the top. Now, in this screenshot, it shows web on the left and work on the right. Well, that's not how it is. Well, I just did it on the video for the audio podcast people showing it. I don't know which way it's showing on the video, but right now it's work on the right and web on the left in this. And that's not the way it is now.
In the image,
And so that's weird. Also, in the first image, there isn't a toggle, which very weird too.
Correct.
So maybe the images
it's renders.
Yeah, so maybe that's what's going on. If they're changing those two, I would like a message update for that as well, but that's not part of this one.
You could say, erstwhile, work was on the left, web was on the right.
So, anyway, this is rolling out.
No, you go ahead.
What?
It's my message. Oh.
Oh, it is.
And you're taking over.
I am going to hit the mute button. I'm sorry, man. Oh.
It's all right. No, I'm okay. Erstwhile, it was my message. Now it's yours. We'll begin rolling out these updates in late November. You're so tired. Late November 2024. Expected to be complete by January. Yes.
Are your toes
that
okay?
is the show. Let's give
right?
Daniel a good send off. He needs to take a break, man.
Wow, I stepped all over your feet there, buddy. I'm sorry. Oh my god.
No problem. But this has been a week.
But if you're in Dallas next week for TechCon 365, I'm going to be there. I'll be there with stickers, please hit me up. Come to one of my sessions or workshops, or just see me in the hallway, whatever. And well, I think
say hi, take a selfie with them,
yes,
and wave to me, because I won't be there, but I love it. I love it seeing people engaging with Daniel while we're out and about. He's representing in the various places he visits.
Yeah, absolutely. And there will be an opportunity for you to see Darrell. We will publish his home address down below, and you could just. Okay, maybe not. But,
Modern Work Mentor headquarters.
Right. No, but if you see me there, I would love to say hi and have a chat and take a picture and give you a sticker and all that kind of stuff. So this week, I'm there. So love to see you.
Excellent. Have a great week, everyone, and we'll see you next week. And just try and make a bit of time to join the live message sorting show next week. We'd love to see you there. Bye for now.